In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use a mind map for doing things like presentations, webinars, and videos. Now, there are three main options for using a mind map in this way. You could have one already created, like I have here, where you just collapse and expand the different branches. You could build it as you go, typing it in, but the sound of the typing can get a little annoying. Or you can do a mix of both, where you have it created and then maybe you type in some examples as you go. So here I have one that I've already created. Everything's collapsed. So what you would do giving the presentation is you would just open it, each branch, as you're talking about it. And then you'd keep the other ones closed that you're not talking about, and again collapse them before you move on to the next one. Walk through all the different points and then close it and then go on to the next one. And if you have extra points you want to talk about, for instance, that you don't want them to see all at once, I'll show you an example here. Say there are other, you can see little circles that have additional branches to add on to that I would want to talk through. You would just go through one, because they would see all of these at once. You don't necessarily want it all being seen at once. So you would say the first one, click on the expansion, maybe go through these. Here's one that has an additional point that I wanted to make, talk about it, close it. So close anything that you don't want people to be reading while they're listening. So then I would close this all up because I don't want you to be reading it as I talk. And then you can also type in additional examples that you might think of as you're talking, because as you're going through it, you'll think of other things or elaborate on different things. So for example, let's click on this one and say under here, I remember there was one I wanted to add. So mind maps are great in web design because they're easy for communication, and we talk about examples of explaining it to a designer, working together to make changes. And then I just realized there's also the point of going through and reviewing changes made. So I would just type that in so that it's there, and when I want to hand this out, say to participants, it's already in there. And done, and I'd collapse it all up before moving on to the next section. Now you'll also want to add some color to the map. The reason I didn't add color here is if you have it set up in a certain style where you've formatted certain things that aren't a set style in FreeMind, when you do type something extra, it won't inherit that style. So let me show you on one that does have color. Now this one I wasn't going to add anything to it, so I set the color and it all looks nice. But if I did then add something as I'm talking, it wouldn't necessarily add that color. So say I added one here, I would say, we'll say planning. Now for some reason it added green around there. So I try to just have it all set up in advance or use very basic styles so that you don't have that problem while you're presenting. Let's go back, and you'll want to add some color in general or even some images to spice up the presentation. If you want to add an image, you would just click on it, and I went through this in another video. Click on Insert and go to Image File and say you have something already prepared that you want to add in, and then it would show it. You can also use more than one mind map during your presentation, so just have them open, just like I did before, where I had them open, and you could be using it to do an example. So for instance, here's a mind map already set up to demonstrate how mind maps show complex relationships. So you would go off when you're at that point in the presentation, you'd go over here and show it, then go back to your main presentation. You could also have another slide or image or web page or something else open that you want to talk about during the presentation, and you could either put a link into that note or just have it open on your computer. For instance, here I have an infographic already open that I might want to talk about. So I'd have it open the size that I want where people could see it, and then go through it, and when I'm done, move it out of the way and go back to the presentation. Now the most important thing is that you have everything ready. So everything's open on your computer that you're going to show, and then you start your presentation and your recording. And that's it. I hope you can see now how you can use mind maps to create multimedia presentations, and I hope that was helpful. Now all you have to do is go for it.